So the first 4 albums released by Peter Gabriel, as he started off as a solo artist, were all imaginatively called Peter Gabriel. So which one was the best? Completing the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway tour in 1975, Peter Gabriel left Genesis to embark on his solo career. Front-page news for the music papers back in the day. In the 4-year period between 1977 and 1982, he released 4 albums, all titled Peter Gabriel. Numbers were added to distinguish them better, and even pet names added to assist still further. In this video, I give you a personal assessment of each and let you know which one I think is best. Stick around for that. Peter Gabriel himself envisions each of these first 4 album covers to be done like, I quote, like a magazine which will only come out once a year. So it's the same title, the same lettering, in the same place, only the photo is different. End quote. With that in mind, Gabriel 1, or Car, as he became known then, was released on the 25th of February 1977 and began the solo career that is still alive and kicking in 2023. The cover featured Gabriel in a Storm Ferguson's blue 1974 Lancia that had been sprayed in water for effect. Inner artwork had him wearing metallic-coloured contact lenses as well to give the impression of his eyes were being made of ball bearings. Very spooky. With Moribund the Burgomaster appearing to have come from the same subways that Real had frequented, the fears and apprehensions of going solo were recounted in the smash single Salisbury Hill. From the amusing barbershop quartet song Excuse Me to epic Here Comes the Flood, 1, or Car, set the bar to pretty high mark as a starter. Featuring a stellar cast of musicians including Robert Fripp and lifelong stalwart Tony Levin, Gabriel always had the happy knack of attracting the best talent around at the time. Faring well in the UK album charts, reaching a lofty best place 7th. Interest from the US was less forthcoming, but still managed 38 in the Billboard 200. Elsewhere around the world, he was a top 10 record generally. His second album was released on the 2nd of June 1978 and pictured Peter appearing to be scraping his fingers down an imaginary surface. In stark black and white, and again featuring the evil-eyed Peter. Whenever I looked at the cover back in the day, I always imagined it was somebody scraping down a blackboard with their fingernails. There you go. Up my teeth are already on edge. But with the influence of Robert Fripp once more, Gabriel takes us on the air, doing some DIY, having some animal magic, suffering from exposure before going home, sweet home. Wife at the time, Jill, even wrote him a song. But the excels on this album are the delightfully reggae-based A Wonderful Day in a One-Way World, which is a true highlight, and the ethereal White Shadow, 2 top tracks. The album is allowed to breathe, which would give Peter the opportunity to release the shackles, and the tracks reflect this change. This one had a similar impact in the charts, 10 in the UK, 40 on the Billboard 200, and generally top 50 around the world this time. 30th of May 1980, and Peter Gabriel 3 was released, or called Melt for short, as a result of the cover featuring Gabriel with half his face dissolved. With the punk movement now dead, this was part of a trend back to a more normal music, and Melt was part of that. What Gabriel began to do, however, was to introduce a more political bias to some of his work, and here, Games Without Frontiers, which many associated with the late 70s pan-European challenge-based TV programme, was in fact an anti-war song, and this was complemented by the anti-apartheid track Biko, which struck at the heart of so many of us at the time. Former bandmate Phil Collins played drums on some of the tracks, and was also on board for that blanket ban on cymbals Gabriel had enforced on this particular album. You listen, there's none on there. 4 singles were released, including the 2 aforementioned tracks, as I said, along with No Self-Control and I Don't Remember. It felt a more commercial offering this time around than the previous 2, even allowing for the increase of political topics. And maybe it was due to the fact that he was now a much more popular musician, He carried some weight about it. Chart-wise, it hit number 1 in the UK and 22 in the US, and this time was generally a top 10 hit worldwide. The final album from the quartet was Peter Gabriel 4 or Security, and this was released on the 10th of September 1982. Now there was a clever maturity developing in the content, musicality and production, as this was one of the very first digitally recorded albums done at Peter's home studio. Yeah, one of the first. Less commercial than Melt, Shot the Monkey and I Have the Touch were the singles that came from it. Gave Peter his first top 40 entry in the Hot 100, and there is an increase in evidence of world music influence. The rhythm of the Heaters, an African drum beat. San Jacinto about an indigenous American. The Family and the Fishing Net comparing marriage to voodoo. The Wallflower about a political prisoner treatment in Latin America. This time it reached 6 in the UK, 28 in the US, and this time was a general 20 hit worldwide. So I promised I would tell you which one I found the best, and whilst they're all outstanding albums, for me it's unquestionably clear that Melt is my favourite. I bought it live on its release date, which was unusual for me, and that formed an immediate bond. I liked the idea at the time of politics with my music, and this album certainly did that. The appeal of different styles of drumming and sounds, San Jacinto, Nels Self-Control, Intruder, to name just a couple of the more noticeable ones. So for me, Melt is the best and brightest of this quartet, but let me know your favourites in the comments, as I think this will be a fascinating discussion on what became the four corners of the Peter Gabriel solo career foundations. As ever, many thanks for watching this video, and check out the description section for links to buy Gabriel albums, especially these four, if they are not part of your collection already, as well as ways to find me on social media and email. I have for you now the first of the songs for the not yet released 2023 album I.O., which I know you will enjoy.
In the